Leading off this morning, found a pretty neat article here that I'm not sure is getting any play. Don't know if it'll actually happen or not, but it certainly is interesting, and if it were to, it shows once again that the president is ahead of all of his adversaries. Like and subscribe, and let's get into it. U.S. President-elect Donald Trump invites China's Xi Jinping to his inauguration next month. Didn't expect that, did you? No Chinese leader has ever joined an inauguration ceremony of the U.S. president, which is typically attended by ambassadors. U.S. President-elect Donald Trump has invited Chinese President Xi Jinping to attend his inauguration next month, CBS has reported, citing multiple sources. The invitation may signal an effort by Trump to court his Chinese counterpart just as he threatens fresh tariffs against the world's largest economy. Xi's attendance, however, would be unprecedented. No Chinese leader has ever joined an inauguration ceremony of the U.S. president, which is typically attended by ambassadors. No foreign head of state has attended one in more than a century, according to the State Department records going back to 1874. There would be huge political risk for Xi for attending, as well as potential discomfort of sitting outside for hours on a cold January day in Washington. Low temperatures during President Joe Biden's 2021 inauguration generated memes of politicians such as Senator Bernie Sanders, who sat huddled in a thick jacket, COVID mask, gloves on the inauguration stage. And that's the end of the brief story. I think it's fabulous. I think it's absolutely fabulous. What's the old saying? Keep your friends close, but your enemies even closer. Now the president will come out and say that, he and Xi get along very well. And personally, they very well might. They very well might. But I think what we got going on here is keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Because at the exact same time, you have China and the United States going back and forth, threatening tariffs against each other. You have our ships literally within kilometers of each other on the high seas. You have Chinese Coast Guard ships physically attacking with water cannons, rammings, and other means, everything short of using actual weaponry, military-grade weaponry, attacking Filipino, Taiwanese, Japanese Coast Guard ships, all throughout the South China Sea. American aircraft carriers, 3 of them will be in the South China Sea area during the week of Trump's inauguration. Keep your enemies close, your friends close, and your enemies closer. Trump recognizes that the biggest rival we have is Xi Jinping and China. It isn't Russia. Russia is right now the loud pain in the butt. They're the ones making the noise. They're the ones out there actually killing people for everyone to see. The Chinese are doing what the Chinese do. They're biding their time. They're waiting. They're patient. There's a saying in China when you have foreigners come over and they see the Chinese pyramids, because China is covered in pyramids. Pyramids the size of the Great Pyramid in Giza. Hundreds of them all over their country. But they won't excavate them. They won't excavate them. And when asked, a lot of the Chinese response is, we're an old country, we'll get to it. We'll get there. They're patient. That's one thing that China has in spades is patience. And I think they're actually meeting an adversary who also has some patience when it comes to this kind of thing, when it comes to the geopolitical game. President Trump. President Trump is patient when it comes to the geopolitical game. He understands how the game is played. He's very experienced in Asian and Southeast Asian dealings, if you will. I cite that his with Modi in Houston. In one of my previous videos, India, A New Golden Age, there's a video of Modi finishing a speech in Houston, being welcomed by Indian Americans in the Houston area. And he comes down and visits with the president, Donald Trump. And he and Donald Trump decide that they're going to walk around the entire venue. What's the first thing you do when that happens? The president and Modi grab each other's hand and hold hands throughout the entire thing, understanding the symbolism of that in the Indian culture and in many cultures around the world. That the two men holding hands is a sign of unity, not of anything else. And he understood that instinctively and did it right away. I think this is a brilliant move by the president. Absolutely invite Xi Jinping. They mention in the article discomfort by sitting in the cold. Well, I have a feeling that Xi Jinping has been in cold weather once or twice. It's not like China is a tropical paradise. Portions of it are warm, portions of it are cold. Sounds kind of familiar, doesn't it? I mean, my God, they do have part that is Mongolia. Not exactly utopia. Although it does kind of rhyme at the end there, doesn't it? Mongolia, utopia. Not really. But it's brilliant. It's brilliant by the president. It's absolutely brilliant by the president. It's also an insult to Putin, if you want to look at it, because who did he invite and who hasn't he invited? Subtlety. There's certain things about the president. Yes, he can be brash and verbose online and on Twitter, but there's certain subtleties he understands about diplomatic affairs and things that really just the press just doesn't understand. It just doesn't understand. Inviting Xi Jinping is brilliant. It also undermines Putin because you're not important enough to invite to the inauguration, but he is. Now, obviously, there'd be other issues in that there'd be demands that Putin be arrested because of the International Criminal Court has a warrant out for him. But you'd be able to give him a diplomatic immunity or whatever. You understand my point. That there's a snub and there's an invite. There's a recognition and a, what would be the word? Ignorance. Not ignorance. Where you ignore, you're not worth my time. Hey, you come here. See if we can't split him a little bit. The president knows what he's doing, and this is brilliant. Keep your enemies close, your friends close, and your enemies closer. If China is indeed going to be one of our enemies, which they don't have to be, but if they're going to be, then this is the exact right thing to do. Keep them close. Make sure you got an eye on them. But let's not start shooting at each other. There's 1.1 billion of them and 300 and some million of us. The math doesn't add up very well right now. Could it change in the future? It will change in the future due to demographics. But that future is not now. That future is in about 20 to 40 years. But until then, keep your friends close, your enemies closer. Invite Xi to the inauguration is brilliant. I love it. Stay sour.